ones too late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on Dr. Boyce TV. Here we are.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm Dr. Boyce Watkins from Your Black World and the Black Business School, and I want to welcome you guys to the Black Financial Channel. That's theblackfinancialchannel.com. And I wanted to give you a quick overview of what's happening in the markets this week. It looks like, at least for right now, happy days are here again. The stock market had an amazing week. A lot of money was made. Now this week, as of Monday, which is June 8th, it looks like the futures market is predicting that the stock market is going to have another little boost. So the rally continues. It's been pretty amazing. A lot of tech stocks have been the leaders in the rally, in the recovery. Also, a lot of the previously dead stocks, the Carnivals and things like that, Carnival Cruise Lines, casinos, airlines were the ones that also really had a big boost because people sort of felt that it was safe to sort of start, pushing capital in that direction. One of the things that's really interesting is that a lot of this recovery, which is reason to be a little bit concerned, was driven by support from the Fed. The Fed has been buying lots of assets and really pushing interest rates down near zero, which has been really, really a huge boost for the market. But at the same time, they can't go on forever. And also remember this, it's probably going to end soon because the Fed meets this Tuesday and they're going to do a speech. And when they give the speech, the whole world's going to be watching and listening very closely because, they're going to hang on every word. And what's probably going to happen, in my opinion, is they're going to back away from, the support that they've been giving that has led to this premature stock market boost. Remember that the big stock market boost really took place because of the unemployment data that was just so insanely good. They expected to lose 8 million jobs. Instead, they gained 2.5 million jobs. So there are people that are still wondering, is that number even real? Was that a mistake? What's going on? And all the experts are saying that it wasn't a mistake, that the economy is recovering faster than was expected. But at the same time, you still have a lot of discontent and confusion because different states are opening up at different rates and nobody really knows exactly how each state's going to do the reopening. Even New York, Cuomo in New York hasn't even started phase 1 of the reopening. I think phase 1 starts this week and then they go to phase 2 next month. Right, which in phase 2 isn't that big. I don't even think phase 2 means you can actually go. It might mean you finally can go to a restaurant or something, right? So it's kind of crazy. With this recovery, I just want to encourage everybody to be really, really cautious. A lot of that money that you made last week, you may be giving some of that back. Maybe you can do some stop loss orders, maybe do some, you look into some put options, things like that, to protect your gains. But you may just want to sell, but I'm not telling you to sell. I don't sell. I just buy and hold, and that's how I tend to invest. But don't be surprised if you see some pullback on the market. There are a lot of risk factors that are pointing in that direction. The other piece of that is, given that the stock market just took off so well, and then there's a whole conversation nationally right now about wealth inequality. So what a lot of people are seeing is they're seeing rich people, just making all this money, and you're in the group of rich people. In case you don't know, you're one of the rich people. Not because you're really rich, but because you're an investor. You're making your money through a different vehicle from people who just make their money by waiting for a paycheck. And that's why I warn you guys not to get caught up in that trap. That's a mouse trap because that's going to hurt you financially. And I know it's very important to pay attention to what's happening with, police brutality and all that. Nobody's more committed to what's going on with black men than I am. I've been invested in that game long before it became popular. But I will tell you that, that you still want to make sure you're building for the future. Remember, a real man doesn't just sit around in fear waiting and wondering if another man is going to come hurt him. You prepare for battle. And the biggest way to prepare for battle for our people is to invest and build, buy the block, make moves, start businesses, always position yourself to be economically strong because they don't really tend to come after the black men that have their stuff together. And it doesn't mean that it can't happen to anybody. But there are some conversations about that in terms of being 100% real about making yourself more or less vulnerable to whatever somebody else is trying to do to you. So I think preparing wealth-wise for your family is very important, a very important part of your manhood, and then also for the ladies as well. We know that that's important too. So we'll have more of that conversation later. But for now, just speaking specifically on the market, the three biggest risk factors right now with this market recovery are: one, the Fed may stop supporting the market recovery because they're going to say, oh, the market's doing great, we don't need to help it anymore. That could be dangerous. Number two, the unemployment data may just be false. It may just be a mistake, an aberration. Somebody punched in the wrong number or whatever. That's happened. Things like that have happened before, but that would be a stretch, but it's possible. And if that were to come out, then you're talking about a major plummet. Three is stimulus. The government may feel like, hey, since everything's going so great, we don't need to really push the stimulus package. But I think that's inconsistent with the conversation about wealth inequality that's been created since the stock market's taken off. Because now what's happening politically in the political conversation is people are saying, oh my God, the stock market, the stock market's taken off, and all these rich people are making money, and all these people are unemployed. Well, remember this. I will say this. I was one of the people that said in the beginning that it's not necessary to unemploy all these people. It's not necessary for all these people to lose their jobs. It's not necessary for you to shut down the entire economy over this virus. You can control the virus and still let people have their jobs. So I think that, to some extent, if you want to have that political conversation, I think that when everyone tries to say, oh, it's their fault that we don't have jobs, it's Trump's fault, whoever's fault, I say no, it's the fault of the people who wanted to shut down the economy. Any politician who, in my opinion, this is my opinion, any politician who wanted to shut down the economy and wanted people to lose their jobs is responsible for the fact that people don't have their jobs. Like, you can't say shut down the economy, give up your job, and then say it's his fault that you don't have a job. No, it's your fault because you said shut down the economy, and there were experts like me, and I am an expert, saying it's not necessary. You can control this virus with the existing healthcare system you have in place. There's no reason for everybody to risk being homeless or for their children to starve to death because you're worried that that this virus, which is turning out to be just maybe 2 or 3 times stronger than the flu, is going to just wipe out the population. It wasn't ever going to wipe out half the population. It wasn't ever going to wipe out even 1% of the population. So you have to put it into context. You have this thing where there's a 99% chance that you're not going to get it, and then there's a 95% chance that you're going to survive even if you do get it, and people don't understand that. So here's the bottom line right now. This stock market boost that has led to a boost in a lot of your portfolios. I know my students are jumping up and down because they're all making money because we're investing in a specific way, very strategic, very simple, and it's a method that's proven to work over the last 120 years. And so I wasn't surprised when they were doing well. But I wanted to kind of warn them. I had to be kind of the bearer of bad news and say to them, look, this recovery, this boost may not last. The recovery's coming. But what you got last week was a special gift from the financial gods where, you received your stock market returns. You got your Christmas in June instead of actually having to wait it out like I thought we were going to have to wait it out. The average bear market lasts about 14 months. It takes usually 14 months from the time you hit rock bottom to get back to where you were before. We've done that in about 6 weeks. And I know Trump is jumping up and down and he's saying, oh, look at this. This means I'm smart. No, it doesn't. It means probably more that he's lucky. But also, in fairness, again, because I don't get caught up in the Democrat Republican stuff. That's emotional crap that I have no interest in that. Strategists build wealth. Emotional people sit and get distracted by every little thing the media puts in front of you. I'm not one of those people. The media isn't going to distract me from what matters, which is building for my family and building for my community. Really, remember, if you go back, it wasn't Trump that was calling for everybody to stay home and lose their job. It was the Democrats that were calling for that. And now they were calling the Republicans greedy for saying that people should be allowed to go to work. I didn't agree with that. I'm not voting for either party. I told you guys that. But I just sat there and I was frustrated. And I said, this is going to be a great opportunity for smart people to make a lot of money, right? Because if you're an investor, you probably made a killing when the market crashed. You made a killing because the crash was a false crash. It was a false flag scenario where the crash was literally the biggest illusion that I've seen in investing in Ever. I don't think I've ever seen a bigger illusion. And what I mean by that is, I said, okay, we're sitting here frozen in fear, thinking that we're all going to die, and as a result, everybody's losing their jobs. So there's a lot of suffering to go around. Like right now, people are dying because they didn't get their medication during the time that they shut down all the hospitals. People are dying because they couldn't go see the doctor. They weren't getting their doctor's visits. I know a man who's dying because he couldn't go in and get a couple of tests he needed to identify something that was going on with his body, which could kill him. And it's absolutely ridiculous. And the thing was, if you go back and you listen to what I was saying 2 months ago, I've been very consistent on this. I didn't say anything until I was sure. I took my time because I wasn't sure, and I said, okay, what precautions can we take to make sure we're safe, while at the same time I want to make sure that we're correct. And so once I was sure, once I talked to enough doctors, looked at enough data, listened to my common sense, I counted how many. I told Alicia, and I keep saying this because I want to make sure the record's straight on this in terms of understanding that you're being manipulated by media, and these distractions are costing you money. They're costing you opportunity. So I said to Alicia, I said, I want to see how many of these old congressmen die. I said, because they shake a lot of hands and they meet a lot of people. And when you're famous, you're in a lot of people's personal space. I said, so they should be the first ones dying from this virus. There should be at least 5 congressmen or women that will die, because most of them are older, in the most high risk category. They're high risk because they're older, and they're also high risk because they meet a lot of people. And so I said, at least 5 or 6 of them have to die, because there's hundreds of them, right? And none of them died. Not one. And not one A-list celebrity died. They were all the celebrities were announcing it. And I said, nobody's dying from this on a massive scale. Now, of course, you have deaths, right? But even the deaths were fuzzy. A lot of these were flu deaths. A lot of these were deaths for other causes. Doctors were telling me this. Doctors were coming to my inbox. I'm talking about Harvard-educated doctors were coming to me and saying, this isn't adding up. They're playing a game here. This doesn't make any sense. I talked to somebody who does autopsies, and they said, we're filling out these autopsies, and it's like a joke now among my colleagues, because they're saying that everybody's dying from this virus. So that was the information that I used to make my decision on investing. And I told you guys from the beginning, I said, when everything crashed, I said, look, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm going to buy everything I can get my hands on, because I believe that once the coast is clear, once they find out that everything is, that a lot of this isn't what they say it's going to be, then the prices are going to go right back up. The sun's going to come out, and you're going to see a massive return and a massive opportunity. Now, some are going to say, here's what they're going to say. Here's the myth they're going to lay out there. They're going to lay out the myth that says, oh my God, the shutdown worked so well, social distancing worked so well, we did such a good job, we saved everybody. That's not true, because they were saying that even with social distancing, they expected 2 million deaths. If you recall, does anybody remember that? Does anybody remember that when they said, even with the distancing, we're going to have 2 million deaths? So they did the distancing, and they did not have 2 million deaths. They had 5% of that number, 5%. There were entire hospitals that were completely empty as a result of the fact that they built extra hospitals and extra beds and got extra ventilators. They didn't even need the beds. They didn't need the hospitals. They didn't need the ventilators. They were laying doctors off. So you can't sit here and anyway backward engineer a win over this nonsense. There's no way you can backward engineer that, we were right all along. No. You're being political. And I'm going to tell you like this. If you want to lose money, if you want to be stupid, if you want to get screwed in this economy, then keep letting politicians give you your directives. Keep letting wealthy politicians who are people like Bernie Sanders have millions of dollars in the bank, and they're banking on getting elected and making money through politics. Keep listening. Keep letting these people tell you what your science should be instead of listening to the scientists. Keep letting the Republicans tell you what to do and what not to do instead of listening to the people who actually don't have a horse in the game, right? So I will say to you, that I do have a horse in the game, in that my horse is in for black people. That's it. I'm not for the Democratic game. I don't care what the Democrats say. I don't care what the Republicans say. But I listen to Democrats and I listen to Republicans. Then I listen to scientists, and then I listen to myself. And everything that was going on from the jump. If you go back and watch videos I did 2 months ago, you'll know that I was right there. I didn't care about the heat. I didn't care about the backlash, because when I know I'm right, I stick to what I believe. I don't deviate because, it doesn't lie consistent with your favorite politician. I'm not interested in that, right? So one of the things that we had been talking about from the jump was that, when the market crash took place and the economy crashed, I said, I don't know how we're going to get out of this, but I do believe that the market is very, very cheap. John Rogers said it too. John Rogers, the billionaire out of Chicago, said, this is the greatest opportunity to build as much black wealth as you possibly can. Go in there, jump in the market, use that extra money to buy stock, because stock is super cheap right now. And so what can happen though is that with the pandemic scaring the hell out of everybody, and then the police scaring the hell out of everybody, and the protests distracting the hell out of everybody, people are kind of sort of paralyzed, on these other social issues. And these are what Dr. Claude Anderson refers to as horizontal issues. These are issues that don't relate to actually building a true power base in your community. So you got literally men, black men. I use the term men loosely because I don't think a man is supposed to do this. But they're sitting around, and there was one guy who said, who cares about wealth in the stock market? Black men are being killed every day by the police. I said, okay, well, they didn't kill you. And at the end of the day, I'm never, as a man, going to feel like I need to sit around in constant fear of what another man might do to me. I'm not a little boy. I'm not a child. I'm not going to sit around and say, oh my God, I can't do anything. I can't prepare. I can't protect my wife. I can't protect my children. I can't move forward because I'm so scared, because the police are going to kill me, and Black Lives Matter. And I need y'all to know Black Lives Matter, because it ain't right. What y'all doing, it ain't right. I don't do that. You know what I do? When I see white men coming to kill me, you know what I do? I prepare for battle. It's like clank, clank, motherfucker. Like, come on with it. Seriously. So what I would say to you, again, this is only for intelligent black people and for real men in the room. So if you're not a real man, or if you're not intelligent, then this is not a good conversation for you. So intelligent women and real men, this is what you do. You prepare for battle. You build for your community. You connect with whatever it takes to take care of your babies, right? You understand the world for what it is. You can go. I went to a Black Lives Matter protest, and I said, "Oh, Black Lives Matter. This is nice. This is good. Good for you guys." But you know what I then did? I took my kids and I took my spouse, and we went and we prepared for the future. We prepare through education. We prepare through economics. We make ourselves aware of what the environment looks like and what's going on, and show proper respect to that. But we're not going to sit around waiting to be victims. I am not a KFC chicken sitting on the farm waiting for somebody to come along and cut my head off and send me off to the restaurant. That's not going to be me. So I will say to you at the end of this conversation, just to make this 100% clear. Here's what's going on with the market right now. You've seen a major burst. So much money was being made. A lot of people are mad about it because they chose not to participate. So they're mad at people that did participate. A lot of you participated. A lot of you are investors. So they're mad at you too. Even if you're not rich, you're amongst the evil rich people that they talk about. Oh, these evil rich people are taking advantage and they're making all this money in the stock market while the unemployment rate is super high. Well, a lot of the investors I know are not rich people. They're just smart people. They just said, instead of spending my money on Popeye's chicken, instead of going to buy a new pair of Jordans, instead of spending my money on a Beyonce ticket, I'm going to take my money and I'm going to put that money into the market so I can have something for my family. And a lot of you have seen a massive windfall as a result of this. This was not the result of some sort of white privilege you have, because you ain't got white privilege. A lot of y'all are black. This ain't a result of the fact that somebody left you $1 million in the bank when they died. Most of you didn't have an inheritance. You're like me. I didn't have an inheritance. I didn't even have a dad. My father wasn't even there when I was a baby. Me and my mother were born in I was born in the projects, right? So this is a result of the fact that you made a choice. And so in the midst of all of this, in the midst of everybody talking about Black Lives Matter and what's going on with black people, I want to warn you about the virus of victimhood. Victimhood is a virus. And if you get caught up in this idea that your whole fate, your whole destiny, that all your outcomes are somehow shaped by whether or not white people decide to be nice to you, or whether or not white people decide to acknowledge you, then unfortunately you become a white supremacist, because you position them in your mind at the level of a god. You put them at the level of a god, to the point where you're thinking, if the only way I can move forward is if God blesses me with money, I go to church and I'm praying to God for more income, but deep down I know that the white man is responsible for my income, so really the white man becomes my God. Well, the white man is not my God. That's never going to happen in my world. So if you're looking for somebody who's going to be doubled down and fully invested in black victimhood, you're in the wrong place, because I don't believe that. I believe you can do whatever you want to do. I believe that the choices belong to you. And I'm going to just tell you like this. You got right now, unfortunately in America, this is really sad to me. I think this should be fixed, but it's what it is. You've got people that, were making investments all along. Hundreds of thousands of you are now invested in the stock market, and I'm very, very proud of the fact that I played some part in convincing you to do that. I'm extremely proud of that. That's one of the greatest achievements of my life. Hundreds of thousands of you are investing in the market, and you've seen your incomes rise because you've simply changed the game. You found a new vehicle for earning wealth as opposed to waiting for a white man to give you a paycheck. But you also have those people who were distracted, unfortunately. Perhaps they've been conditioned in a white supremacist framework, mindset, to sort of wait for a white man's paycheck before they can ever have any money in their pocket, which is a very dangerous way to live. And also they've been enslaved by the Democratic Party, which said everybody stay home, nobody move, give up your job, we'll take care of you, which they never do, right? And so what's happened is that because they've been sucked into that, that sort of world, that victim world, then they're sitting there and they're mad. They're mad that, these people are making money off the stock market, and the stock market's going up, and ain't nobody got no damn jobs. Well, again, I go back and I say, well, whose fault is it that you ain't got a job? I say it's the fault of the politicians that told you to give up your job, to stay home when you didn't have to stay home. The healthcare system could have handled it. You could have still went to work, and most of y'all 99.9% of y'all going to work ain't gonna catch no major virus that's gonna kill none of y'all, right? Even George Floyd had it and there were no symptoms. He was fine, right? Most people get it and most people are fine, right? That's what they're saying, right? So I'm just sitting here, sort of helping you understand the essence of victimhood. I'll explain it like this. I had a cousin. I still have that cousin. I just don't want to say his name because I don't want to embarrass him. I had a cousin who thought that everything I talk about it was BS. It's not that he didn't think that it could be good. It's just that he was always distracted. He would always, do what the rappers did. He would, he embraced ignorance, like the rappers teach you to embrace. A lot of rappers teach you to embrace ignorance. Not all of them, but many of them do. He got into, chasing the women. If he got money, he would go buy something stupid with it. He had like a gold grill or he had stuff in his teeth. And so he was trying to be like a thug. He was trying to be a rapper thug, whatever. Right. So I'm not cool. He was the coolest guy in the room. I never was. And I remember that, when I would talk about investing, it was like just not interesting because he had other things to do, more exciting, more interesting things to do. And, so I invested in a lot of ways, educationally, financially, otherwise. He didn't really invest at all. He had about 4 or 5 babies, mamas, kids he can't take care of. He's working a job that he hates. When he has a job, never has enough money, and whatever. He's in the struggle, right? My heart goes out to him. But because I know the dude and I know him since he was little, I never felt sorry for him because I saw the choices he made, right? When he could have made different choices. A lot of you have the same person in your family. A lot of you have the same kinds of people in your own family who make stupid choices. I don't know if anybody else can agree with me on this, but I don't know if you know that relative who just makes bad choices and then somehow thinks somebody else did it, right? So anyway, one day he reaches out to me and he asked to borrow some money. And because I have that same guilt a lot of you have, I don't know if any of you feel this way, but a lot of us have this survivor's guilt that because I'm doing well, it's not because I made different choices. It's not because I tried to empower myself, right? It's sacrilegious to say that, right? Because now you sound like one of those conservatives. You sound like a Trump supporter, right? So instead you say like, well, I was blessed and I was fortunate and I was, whatever, right? Like you really, you minimize the impact of your own choices and your own outcomes, right? You disempower yourself, and then we get upset because we have no power, but we consistently disempower ourselves by belittling our own achievements, right? And chalking it up to, white Jesus or the white man or luck as the way we got ahead. And so I had that survivor's guilt, and I loaned him some money. He borrowed some money for rent or whatever. He was always struggling with rent, and I loaned him some money, and he promised me he'd pay me back. He never did. A lot of y'all got relatives like that. I don't understand that. They borrow money and never pay it back. I think that's tacky and trifling. And so then he reaches back out to me later, right? Still ain't paid back the money. Has the nerve to tell me another story. And people borrowing money always come with a story. You know what I mean? Like there's always a good story attached about some emergency, and then they guilt trip you and you feel like, oh, I gotta help, right? So he tried that again, and this time I said no. I said, I'm not helping you at all. I said, not only was it disrespectful for you to not repay me, but your situation is your situation. You made the choices to put yourself in this situation. Nobody made you go through life without choosing to ever pick up a book. Nobody made you go and sleep with all those women and get a bunch of kids and probably a bunch of diseases to go with it. Nobody made you go through life without ever investing for your future. Like nobody made you do that. You chose to do all of that. And he's like, yeah, but you don't understand my situation. No, I understand your situation very well, which is exactly why I avoided it. You forget I'm a black man too. I done seen all the shit. I done seen the evictions. I done seen the roaches crawling across your bologna sandwich. I know what it feels like to not have any food in the refrigerator. I know what it feels like to get a car repossessed. I know what it feels like to go through all kinds of struggles, to not be able to pay the rent. I've gone through all of that. So I know your situation very well, which is exactly why I made the decision to avoid it. And it's like, yeah, but people like y'all rich, and y'all just, y'all don't understand how people like me, brothers like me, be in the struggle. I said, stop that. Stop, now I said back in the day when we was both two little nappy head kids trying to get by, you identified with me. We understood each other. We were friends. But then when I made a decision at the fork in the road to go north and you chose to go south because you're listening to those stupid rappers and stupid media that teaches you how to be a ignorant ass thug, now you're going to act like I'm one of the elite, like somehow I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth. So I'm sorry, guys, but I just basically said, fuck you. Get the hell out of here with that victim bullshit. And you don't sound like a man right now. You sound like a punk, and you're a father. You're as a father, you're supposed to be out delivering for your kids. You're supposed to be out here handling business, taking care of things for your family. You can't even do that because you turned yourself into a bitch. You turned yourself into a wimp, into a punk, and now you're sitting around waiting on somebody to save you when a real man ain't supposed to do that. So what I'm saying to you at the end of the day, black people, is that you ain't never gonna get no victimhood sermon from me. I'm never going to go out of my way to reconfirm whatever victimhood story that some of your so-called liberal allies have been feeding you. I'm not here to do that. I'm not going to do that because I know the dangers of that. The people you think are your friends are your greatest enemies because they are the ones who support the idea of keeping you enslaved and to the point where the glass ceiling is so strong that your only hope in life is to be a high-paid slave. And they can't hire all the slaves in the building. They hire a couple of you, and then the rest of you are sitting out in the field, sitting out here struggling. So I'm telling you, at the end of the day, you got to make choices, man. And these choices have to be smart. They have to be independent. Don't let these white folks guide you in what decisions you make. I know Negroes that'll sit glued to the TV watching MSNBC and literally will be repeating like parakeets exactly what they heard on MSNBC. And then I know people who do the same thing with Fox. And I don't condone any of that. But then again, maybe everybody isn't capable of thinking for themselves. Maybe everybody doesn't want to think for themselves. Maybe one area where we are a little more blessed is maybe we have a little more insight and a little more intelligence. And maybe people are sheep and they can't help it. I have no idea, but I'm not here to be a sheep. In fact, I'm not here to even be your shepherd because you ain't a sheep either. I want you to be a leader of your life, period. That's it. The greatest black leader in the history of the world lies inside of you. So be your own damn leader and make decisions that are going to put you in a position of empowerment because 99% of the decisions that are mass marketed to black people are negative and destructive. I'll give you an example. When I watched an episode on SNL called Black Jeopardy. It's a little segment they do. This is an example of how media brainwashes you into victimizing yourself and then crying because you're a victim. So they asked so what they did on Black Jeopardy was they would answer questions. They would ask them questions, they would answer them as black people would, right? So the question was something like, your boss wants to take an extra $50 out of your paycheck to put it in your 401k. And Leslie Jones with her, her ridiculous ass, she's like, Alex, you better give me my $50 so I can go buy me some scratch offs. And that was like funny. That was considered to be funny, right? Like, yeah, you know, that how black people do. Black people don't want to invest. Black people don't give a damn about their own future. They don't care nothing about their kids, right? Everybody thought that was funny. I didn't think that was funny at all, because that's serious. People's lack of desire to prepare for the future is what makes them vulnerable to attack. That's what makes them vulnerable to attack. You know, so don't think that I can't watch what happened with George Floyd, for example, and consider the fact that, man, okay, this guy looked like he was high or drunk at the time that they stopped him. I don't mess with drugs and alcohol because I don't want to be vulnerable and not know what's going on when the white man comes and gets me. I'm not dissing him. I'm just saying, so when they're mass marketing drugs and alcohol to black men, they're mass marketing victimhood to you. They're telling you, get high and get drunk so they can come kill you, because it's easy to kill somebody who's high and drunk. Malcolm X used to say that the white man will sell you the liquor bottle and then lock you up for being drunk. That's what Malcolm X used to say. And so I agree with Malcolm. So that's why I avoided the liquor bottle. I avoid the drugs, because that's how they come get you. So I noticed he was high and he was drunk. And then I noticed, I said, man, he went down. They did all that to him over a fake $20 bill. Okay, that was wrong, right? You know, you don't put your knee on somebody's neck over a fake $20 bill. But then I was thinking, so I wonder if he had been economically prepared to the point where he didn't need to use fake $20 bills, or he didn't, or whatever, right? Or been in just in a different situation in general economically, would that have helped him? Well, I'm not saying it would have or wouldn't have, because I don't want to get into that conversation. But I really don't know a lot of black male business owners and investors who are being shot down by the cops and killed and choked by the cops. Not to say it can't happen. Sure, they can get anybody. We're all black. We're all in this together. When I'm black. When I deal with the cops, I have to deal with them a certain way. I dealt with black. Actually, it was black cops that gave me the worst problems when I was in Baltimore. Baltimore has a real problem in that your city's run by mostly black people, but the black cops can be as bad as the white ones or worse. Freddie Gray was, handled by a police force that has a whole lot of black people on it, right? But that's beside the point. But I will say, at the end of the day, I wonder what would have happened. Here's what I wonder, right? I wonder what would have happened if, George Floyd was not high, not drunk, completely alert. If he was a sharp black man that maybe knew the law. Let's say he was a business owner or an investor or had money to get lawyers on deck in case the police fuck with him. He can go and get a lawyer that'll sue you for everything you got. And let's say he was with 8 other brothers who all were, strong black men who ran businesses, who controlled their communities, who controlled their destiny. Like, I wonder if they still would have felt comfortable putting their knee on his neck and killing him in front of, a million people watching on camera, right? I'm not sitting here trying to say that there shouldn't be empathy for that. I'm not here to say, here's the other thing too. Some black men just ain't got it. Maybe some black men are in the weaker category. I'm not saying he was or wasn't. I'm just saying maybe that's the case. But I don't think most black men are. I think most black men are capable of tremendous power if you embrace that. But you're also capable of tremendous victimhood if you embrace that as well. And so I know this conversation started off as a discussion about investing in the market and everything else. But everything that I discuss comes through the lens of blackness. I've been a black man for longer than I've been a finance professor, and it wouldn't make any sense if I didn't connect my blackness to everything that I talk to you about as far as wealth. So to give you a summary, once again, I reiterate this. If you want to know how I feel about whether you should vote Democrat or Republican in the next election, I do not care. That's a horizontal issue to me. Also, if you want to know what I think about what's happening in this market, I think that this the great illusion of blowing the virus out of proportion, the great illusion of taking something that was real and making it into something bigger, like much bigger than what it was ever meant to be, that created a massive opportunity for strategic, smart people to go in and literally make a killing. I believe also that the reason that people are mad at you for going in and making a killing, if that's what you did, is because they themselves are not individuals that are going to take advantage of opportunities. They, unfortunately, are people that are going to be stuck in fear because that's what politicians have told them to do. And so I don't think you should feel any guilt whatsoever if you've done well in the market this past month when maybe some of your friends did not. I think at the end of the day, you have to say, well, why did you make different choices from me? Because I talk to you guys every single day. And I tell you a lot of the choices that I'm making. So it's not as if you can say nobody told you or you didn't know. So don't get mad at clever people or strategic people or disciplined people or forward thinking people just because they made a choice that was different from you. Don't be like my cousin who had every opportunity in the world to embrace an investor's mentality, who had every opportunity in the world to embrace education, who had every opportunity in the world to prepare for his future, chose not to do it, but then got mad because other people were prepared and he wasn't. Again, that's a victim mentality when you victimize yourself and then somehow act like it happened, because of something that somebody else did. All right. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to go, guys. Hit the thumbs up button, share, and subscribe button. If you haven't learned to buy your first share of stock, there is a free training you can take from the Black Business School. Go to firstshareofstock.com. Even if you've already bought your first share of stock, just go to firstshareofstock.com. Get on the list. You'll get lots of free stuff from us that will enhance your life. It's better than anything you ever learned in college, and a lot of it is totally free. So feel free to go to firstshareofstock.com. Hit the thumbs up button. What's up on Instagram? My Instagram is The Real Boyce Watkins. You can also follow the Black Financial Channel on Instagram, and the website, the YouTube channel is theblackfinancialchannel.com. So thank you guys for listening to the discussion. Thank you for hearing me out. I know some of y'all want to cuss me out, and some of y'all may never come back, but that's really good because I want to filter out the weak, because I only want to talk to the strong. I don't want to preach to the congregation. I love talking to the choir. I'm not talking to everybody. I'm talking to the talented 10th, meaning talented 10th in terms of focus, desire, willingness to build, and people who've actually been able to get outside that box. If you're still in the box, then stay in the box, because I'm just going to go build a better box, and we're going to go live over here. So take care, guys. Love you. See you soon. I'll talk to you later. Peace.
Here we are, clan the isms, cataclysm great. Our people out here struggling, trying to make it in this state. Everybody out here doing it, but we the ones who late. Now family, we the ones who gotta delegate. Get that money in the power, never be fake. Stick to cosign for 3. What did he say? Create jobs, support our own. Educate the same and buy back your home. Got 3 degrees, triple 10. 3 PhDs, now we on the CNN. DBTV, let's talk about negligence. Ignorance is bliss, but we can turn it to intelligence. Believe none of what you hear, half of what you see. Let's break it down here on